Okay, let's get started. So welcome tonight. Welcome to all of you. I always get excited when we do these webinars. We have people from around the world, and it inspires me to talk to you about Aliyah and finding a home in Israel. And so it's great to have you tonight. My name is Rafi. I'm the co-founder of Olim Advisors, and joining me tonight are Rav Boaz Mori, who is the Rosh Yeshivat Lev HaTorah, and Lev Blinder, who's the founder of IL360, which is a realtor in Ramat Beit Shemesh. So thank you to both of you for joining us. I appreciate it, and I know that everybody else that's here tonight appreciates your time. Before we get started, just a couple of quick things. First of all, we are going to do a Q&A session. We're going to do one actually, we're going to do two, one after Rav Mori speaks, and then we're going to do one at the end. So just post your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. The other thing is, we are going to have our contact information at the end. So if you have any follow-up questions, we all encourage you to reach out to us. We welcome it. Don't feel shy. Don't feel embarrassed. Any question, big or small, you can call us, email us, WhatsApp us. We're here to help you and guide you in any way that we can. And lastly, we will send out a recording B'ezrat Hashem in the next couple of days. So if you need to leave early, you can't stay through the end of it, don't worry. We'll send out an email with a link to the recording so you can watch it at your convenience. Okay, so I want to just take a couple of minutes and just talk to you a little bit about Olim Advisors and why we put these webinars together. So when we started Olim Advisors back in 2016, we had really two goals in mind. The first one was to encourage and help all of those who have been thinking about making Aliyah, have been dreaming about it, have been planning about making Aliyah, and they didn't quite know what to do. They didn't quite know who to talk to. They didn't quite know what they needed to do, what decisions they needed to make. And so we started the organization to really guide people through this process and help them make these decisions. The second reason was to help people once they get here. For all of you who have made Aliyah, you know that it's challenging, right? It's challenging moving to every country, and it's not just the first week and the first month. It takes some time to adjust. And so we recognized that, and we said, let's be your guide here. Let's take you to the bank and take you to Misrad HaKita and help you with your kids' education and so on and so forth. Because the reality is that things that you might take for granted in the States or UK or Australia, wherever you're from, in Israel are a little different. It doesn't mean that it's not manageable, but sometimes you need a little bit of help. And so that's really what we aim to do. And Baruch Hashem, we've helped hundreds of families and thousands of Anglos that are here with just adjusting to life in Israel. The other thing that we started doing about a year ago is we recognized that people need help when they want to buy a home. So whether you're making Aliyah and you want to buy a home, or you live here already and you now want to buy your first home, or maybe you just want to have a vacation home or invest in a home in Israel, people were coming to us really with two common questions. The first one is, what's the process like? Can you guide us through the process? Buying a home in Israel, getting a mortgage in Israel is different from a lot of the other countries. And so people were confused and overwhelmed by the process. And they also, they didn't know who to trust. Which developers should they work with? Which realtors should they work with? Which, do they need an attorney? Do they need a tax advisor? And so our goal, and really what we're doing now, is guiding people through this process and then introducing them to people like Rav Mori and to people like Lev, who can really guide you through this process to help you answer your questions. And so thank God we've been able to help people. And if you're interested in buying a home, whether it's in the near future or down the road, reach out to us. We're here to help, and we'd be happy to talk to you. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Rav Boaz. These are just the things that we're going to talk about. So Rav Boaz, you said you wanted to go first because I know you needed to head out. So go ahead and I'll hand it over to you, and and then we'll have a little bit of a Q&A after you're done.
Sure. Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone for coming. And Yasher Koach. I salute you all for the intention and the desire to make Aliyah and join the Jewish people in our homeland. We're looking forward to greeting you here in person, but in the meantime, we'll greet you here on the Zoom. My name is Boaz Mori. I started Yeshivat Lev HaTorah 20 years ago. This year we're celebrating 20 years. And we had the great zchut of not only creating a yeshiva for B'nai Chul, for individuals coming from outside of Israel to study for a gap year, 1 or 2 years, but we were able to build a community here in Eretz Yisrael. The yeshiva itself is focused on kids from all over the states in Canada. We actually had a trickle from Australia as well. But within the years, a lot of our students, it's a very Tzioni yeshiva, a lot of the students desired to do the army, and we started a program for lone soldiers, which led into the yeshiva becoming the first and only yeshiva hesder for B'nai Chul, meaning everybody in the yeshiva is from Chutz La'aretz, and yet it's yeshiva hesder. We have currently 46 lone soldiers, and this yeshiva has become a home for those lone soldiers. So that's the yeshiva. But the context of the yeshiva, we built a community about 14 years ago called Ramat Shilo. Shilo stands for Shkunat Yeshivat Lev HaTorah, became a very popular community overnight. B'li Ayin Hara. By the way, there is people are complaining about music in the background. I don't hear any music in the background. I don't know, Rafi, you have any?
I don't. That's all. I wanted to just double check.
I don't hear any music in the background. I don't know.
Lev, do you hear?
But there's music in the background of people thinking about coming to make Aliyah in Eretz Yisrael. Sham yashavdu gam b'chinu v'talinu et kino ledehem. When we went to Chutz La'aretz, we left our musical instruments. When we came back to Eretz Yisrael, v'shuv Hashem et shivat Zion heinu kechomim. We started singing when we connect to Eretz Yisrael. So if there's no music, there really should be music, but I don't hear the music. So I don't know. In any event, we started this community of close to 400 units, families, and as much as the accomplishment of building a yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, building a community in Eretz Yisrael was a much deeper experience where you're benefiting not just 18, 19, 20-year-olds, but a few generations of people who came to move from young to older. And it's really, really a wonderful and exciting process to be a part of in these last 14 years. Beyond that, we also built help sell units, a few projects in the Mishkafayim. It's another area in Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, towards the end of Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph. And currently the mayor of Beit Shemesh, Eliza Blach, who I enjoy a very close relationship with Eliza. So she asked me if I could help establish another community in Neve Shamir, which is the nice name for Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey, which is adjacent to Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, the Mishkafayim area over there. In addition, another kabbalah asked if I could, on the other side of Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph towards the highway, in the Galavenchitz area, which is another area, there's another community that's being established there. There are 7 tall buildings of over 300 units, close to 350 units over there as well. So I view it as a great zchut to be involved in building communities. When you have a spiritual center in a community, it enhances the whole experience there. So for example, in Ramat Shilo, the yeshiva is not the physical center, but the spiritual center of the community. And most things that happen in the community started off within the yeshiva. The different shuls, the different minyanim started within the yeshiva. And also youth groups use part of our area for their services as well. And anything that really happens here. The Chesed organizations was created within the walls of the yeshiva, et cetera, et cetera. So it's building communities is very, very close to my heart, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. I've spoken to dozens of people about schooling for their kids, about different shuls to join, about how to choose a community that's right for you. So I'd be more than happy to help, irregardless of any project that you choose wherever you want. And I'm happy to be working together with Lev on specific projects in the Beit Shemesh area. So. If that's a good introduction, you can Rafi, you can ask me any questions. Anybody else is more than welcome to ask as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I think for the audience, if there are any specific questions for the Rav, you can chime that in. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, although the main point I wanted to get across is that choosing the right community is important for a number of different aspects. I think that if you're making Aliyah, then there's the concept of the soft landing. And that's why one of the reasons I think Ramat Beit Shemesh has become such a popular destination for Olim, because there's so much support. And you have, whether it's from a religious point of view, as you were talking about, or from the school point of view, the educational point of view, I think people, when they get to Ramat Beit Shemesh, they feel that this is their home. You know, there's a lot of English-speaking programs and organizations, and so when you're making Aliyah, that's of course an important part to look at is the kind of support that you can get from the community. The other thing is, if you're not at this point thinking about making Aliyah, or if you already live in Israel and you're looking to buy a home, there's the other aspects of that go into this decision, and one of them I think is just the growth. And Rav Mori was talking about all these neighborhoods and new projects, and I know Lev's going to talk about a few that are now being built, and we see it at Olim Advisors. There's just so much demand, and people want to rent, and they want to buy, and they want to move to Ramat Beit Shemesh. And I think, from that point of view, if you're coming from the perspective of looking to buy a home that maybe you want to move into down the road, that's something that is extremely important. Another factor that goes into it is of course the location. And for those of you who don't know, it's centrally located. It's close to a lot of the cities nearby. Buses, the public transportation is very accessible there. And so it just, when we talk to people, and thank God we helped, I think, 6 families last week who made Aliyah to Ramat Beit Shemesh specifically. It just, it seems like such a ideal situation, ideal destination for so many people. And so as you're thinking about Israel, and there's so many wonderful choices, Ramat Beit Shemesh just checks a lot of those boxes. A lot of the, whether you're retiring or you're a young family starting out and you thinking about education, or you're thinking about programs, really the entire spectrum, people, ages and backgrounds. We just find that Ramat Beit Shemesh is such a welcoming home for people, and really people go out of their way to welcome people and help them. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to focus on Ramat Beit Shemesh, and invited Rav Boaz to talk, because as you can see, there's a lot of options, and it is such a warm community. So if you have any questions, I see here there's a question here.
Brown has a question.
Yeah, what is the religious? Go ahead, Rav Boaz.
Yeah, what's the religious makeup in the upcoming new communities being built? And the next question: are there learning opportunities for women in Beit Shemesh, for women who want to learn the full spectrum of texts, including Talmud? So great questions. So first of all, let's take a step back before we take a step forward. Ramat Beit Shemesh has everything. Beit Shemesh has really everything. In Ramat Beit Shemesh, it's all religious. In Beit Shemesh, you have everything from Chiloni, Masorti, Dati Lumi, and all the different spectrum of the Dati Lumi. And then you have different Hasidim, Sfaradim, Haredim of all different sorts in Beit Shemesh. But Beit Shemesh is predominantly a Le'umi place. Mostly, it was split pretty much evenly between Dati Lumi and more Masorti Chiloni. In Ramat Beit Shemesh, it's entirely religious, and the whole spectrum of religiosity. So, for example, people don't know, but like the Dati Lumi community, the religious Zionist community there are 3 ulpanot, 3 girls' high schools in Ramat Beit Shemesh. There are 2 yeshivot tichoniot in Ramat Beit Shemesh. There are a few different grade schools that are there for the Dati Lumi community. There are hundreds of families, and many, many shuls with thousands of families throughout Ramat Beit Shemesh for that community. There's a Bnei Akiva, there's an Ariel, and there's an Ezra, all of Ramat Beit Shemesh. So it really services that community very well. And in the Haredi community, there's all the different from yeshivish light to Hasidish stark, and everything in between. You have a school for everybody, which is, I think, when as religious Jews coming from Chutz La'aretz, probably the most important thing that we're looking for is education. Education is our highest value. In Ramat Beit Shemesh, there are schools for everyone. There is even a Haredi Mamad, it means Mamlachti Dati, a public school, which is that's run by a Haredi establishment, which is a fascinating thing that's new to Ramat Beit Shemesh. And then they have all the different, whether it's Haredi, Yeshiva, and Torani, and Dati Lumi, you have everything really in Ramat Beit Shemesh. That's true for the schools, for the shuls, for the communities, etc., etc. In the new communities that are being established right now, Neve Shamir is a community. The Mishka Chaim, for example, was designed for about 600 families. The Neve Shamir community is for 2,500 families in its first stage and phase. This project is a pet of the mayor of Beit Shemesh, Elisa Bluff, and she's put so many resources into this community. So the parks are beautiful. There's going to be a country club with a pool and courts and everything that a modern community can have. And she's said time after time again, all the public areas are going to be dedicated towards the more nationalistic, hashkafot, whether it's Dati Lumi or Chiloni. I honestly don't know how many Chilonim will be moving there, although that was a great hope of the mayor. But certainly Dati Lumi, there'll be plenty there. And there'll be also many who are not Dati Lumi, who are more yeshivish in their orientation, but it's a much more modern focused community. So that's the buildings are very tall. The average building is probably 10 stories high. And that's generally not something that the Haredi community is looking for. And also the prices are much higher than Ramat Beit Shemesh Daled, which is also being built simultaneously. And there it's attracting predominantly, if not only, Haredi community. So the mayor is saying that the Haredi schools, the Haredi yeshivas, the Haredi Talmudei Torah, they're also going to be in Daled. And the more Dati Lomi schools, or even Chiloni schools, perhaps, possibly, if it's required, will be in the Neve Shamir community. So that's that. Now, it's a little tricky because half of the homes in Neve Shamir, a number of years ago, the government decided to do a system where half of them are already, it's Mechir Lemishtaken. Families that qualify can put a bid in and get a home at a much cheaper rate. It doesn't have all the luxuries of the regular homes there, but it's a decent home, and you get it for hundreds of thousands of shekels less. This was already a mechraz happened, a public auction for it, and already the people won, and we don't know who bought there, so it could be anybody bought there. So it's that's the big question mark, the X factor in Neve Shamir. So half the homes are being marketed to the more Dati Lumi and Lumi communities, or yeshivish modern, community. And the other half, who knows who bought, but who's going to live there? People are going to be comfortable living in that type of community with the matnas and the country club and the tall buildings and the beautiful parks. And so it's pretty geared at the high prices. So it's geared towards a certain community. The
And
other
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
The second community that we're working on is probably another year or two further than the Neve Shamir community, which already people are starting to move into that community. But the second community is closer on the other exact opposite side of Ramat Beit Shemesh towards highway number 38, which is the highway that links into the Tel Aviv-Yerushalayim highway. So that community is really only getting started in terms of the marketing. And that's also going to be geared towards predominantly the same type of community that Neve Shamir, but doesn't have the Mishkan, Mechir Lemishtaken factor where you don't know who bought because it's just this public auction in Israel. And so therefore the Kabbalan, the builder, has much more control over, and the people marketing have much more control over who's moving into those communities. So that's on the other hand, the infrastructure that's going to be there will take a few more years to get to the level of innovation.
I see. And do you find for retired couples, because you mentioned a lot of families, and I know there's a lot of support, but do you find that a lot of both from the States and from Israel, do you find, and we have clients that moved into a building called the Harmony, which was it's a phenomenal building, and they and so I know there's a lot of demand for that type of, not so much assisted living so much, but just buildings that have the services if you need them, but it's geared more towards the older population.
There will be something like that in Neve Shamir.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
So yes, I don't know exactly. Lev knows. I don't know what they're building in Shmir for that, but they're very cognizant of the need. That's for sure. And the facilities are very good. The advantage of a lot of these buildings is that some of the buildings on the bottom will have mischari, will have commercial area. So they're going to, whether it's makolet or stores or cafes, shops. There'll be a lot of that, on the bottom of some of these projects, which is very convenient. You live in a project, you just go down the elevator, and you have your makolet, you have everything right where you need it. In the second community that I spoke about, they'll also have that as well. There is a request on the Q&A to have a map. I don't know, Rafi, if you have the map of.
No, I don't know. Do you have a map you can show quickly?
I do have a map. I just have to find it. I wasn't prepared. I'll try. Lev, do you have a map?
I'll try to look for something, but I don't think I have a map of the whole Beit Shemesh. I have of Neve Shamir.
Whether it's Sharon or Sharon, I don't know. But either way, if you're Sharon, you'll be Sharon when you come here. So are there learning opportunities for women in Beit Shemesh? There actually are many learning opportunities for women. There's a women's institution called Matan, and they're based in Yerushalayim, but they have shiurim for women in Beit Shemesh, and there's a growing need for it. Miriam Reisler, who is a very well-known educator, she actually used to run in Upanat Noga a Talmud program within the high school, and their girls scored, I think, the highest on the national Talmud exam. They beat the boys. So she's very into women's learning, and she gives shiurim in Beit Shemesh. But there are many opportunities for women in Talmud as well. Today, with the whole Corona age, I think a lot of the virtual opportunities have been available to everyone all over the world, wherever you are. So whether it's Michelle Cohen giving the Daf Yomi for women, or many other, as a good pitch, not Michelle Farber, excuse me, she's Cohen, for Michelle Farber running the Daf Yomi for women, or other great opportunities. There are plenty, but in Beit Shemesh itself, there are plenty of opportunities for women learning, and that's only growing more and more with the years. Aliza Blach herself, she's an educator, the mayor, and she gives once a week a shiur also to women, and a very impressive individual, Lisa. Other questions that are here?
I think a clarification. They just wanted to know the new neighborhood that you talked about on 38 there. Is there a name for that yet?
Yeah, in order to create a conceptual connection to the Ramat Shilo community, which until this community is built, we are the first community from, when you go into Ramat Beit Shemesh from Highway 38, the first community you hit is the Ramat Shilo community. But beyond that will be this community, and we're going to call it Givat Shilo, to create this like brother-sister relationship between the two communities, that conceptually it's the same idea about what we're trying to do. Our community is a very open community on one hand, but it's a defined community on the other hand. What do I mean? It's open because my philosophy is we love all Jews, and it doesn't matter what you have on your head, and it doesn't matter what nusach you daven, it doesn't matter what religious affiliation exactly you have. We love all Jews. At the same time, Ramat Shilo is a very Torani Lumi, we would call, community, meaning it's very religious Zionist, very much supporters of the state of Israel and of the army Tzahal, and at the same time, very much Torah centric. So that's the community that we have over here. Rav David Bagno, who is the Rosh Kollel in our yeshiva, is also the Rav of the community, the biggest community within Ramat Shilo, the Mishkan Shilo community. He's also lecturer of the Kollel in Bar Ilan for the last 17 years. So we have serious Talmidei Chachamim in the community, and anytime a house is open, within a week it's taken, it's gone. So Givat Shilo, we're trying to create the same type of hashkafa atmosphere, and for that reason, the plan is to have a Beit Midrash run by the yeshiva in the community there, so that we could add the same flavor to that. The houses will be different because in Israel now, Rafi could tell you, they're building these high-risers everywhere, including in Yudav Shomron. Everywhere you go, there are these high-risers they're putting up, because we're expecting, millions of people to make Aliyah in the next few years. We're Baruch Hashem, we're seeing the Geula in our very eyes over the last 7 years, but even more in the last, 7 years. So there's a lot going on. We're very excited to be on this side of the ocean, waiting for people to join us here.
Wonderful.
So Givat Shilo is the name of that community.
Okay, thank you.
I sound muffled? Do I sound muffled?
No, I think you're okay. It might just be the one person's. For me, you sound clear, so I think we're okay with that.
Rav Boaz, did you speak about the midrasha that you're building in Neve Shamir?
So that's not happening right away, so I didn't speak about it. I like to speak about things which are more concrete. But the mayor promised me a piece of land next to the project that we're marketing and selling, that Lev's helping us. So on that, right next to it, there's a very large piece of public land, and I plan to build there a midrashah for girls and for women. And on the campus there, we'll also have community-related locations. So whether it's going to be for a shul or a community center, or whether it's going to be for the Tnuat Noar, for the youth
movement,
youth center. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we'll have place for them on the campus itself as well. So that's something that the mayor promised already, and we were going through the process. It's not a 2 or 3 or month process. it's like a year-long process. So we already have a piece of land that's allocated for us, but it hasn't yet gone through all the issurim, all the permits and everything. So we don't have it yet. So once we get through with that, then the next stage is to actually build on the land that we received.
Got it. Okay. I think that's it in terms of questions. So I know you need to head out. So again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's I know everyone appreciates it. So have a Shavua Tov and Kol Tov
and Hashem should bless everyone with the bracha. A lot of times I heard from a Rebbe of mine, Rav Yitzchak Mirsky. So he said that when Am Yisrael came to Eretz Yisrael, they had to defeat Sichon Melech Heshbon. And he says sometimes people have all these different calculations. When should I make Aliyah? Should I do it this? He said before you come to Eretz Yisrael, you have to get rid of the Cheshbon, get rid of all the Cheshbonot. Get rid of all the Cheshbonot. You have to say, this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. He wants me to be here. I'm going to come, and even though I have a lot of questions, I'll figure it out afterwards. I do believe that a person should do his due diligence, but when you have an opportunity to make Aliyah, and after 2,000 years of the Jewish people, davening and striving and just wanting to come, we have this opportunity. I urge everyone to grab it with two hands, and we'll be here helping you every step of the way. All the best.
Amen. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Be well. Okay, Lev, it's up to you. I'll hand it over to you.
So I'll introduce myself for a moment. And my name is Lev Blinder. I have a company called IL360. I've been working with Ramat Mori. I've been working with Rafi for a little bit now. And first of all, they're amazing people, and I thank both of them for being here. But I'll talk a little bit about the real estate around Ramat Beit Shemesh. So as Rav Mori started talking about, Ramat Beit Shemesh is full of every kind of Jew. If you talk about Beit Shemesh in general, religious, not religious, you have everything. You have communities for everything. But the problem is that most of the American Anglo communities are all full, and there are not a lot of homes or apartments available. So we're trying to build communities outside of Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, Mishkafayim, Ramat Shilo, and Scheinfeld, etc. We're trying to continue these communities, these Anglo communities in a few different areas. The two main areas that we're currently working on are Neve Shamir and about Neve Shamir and Givat Shilo. So basically, I want to just stop and talk for a second about something that Rav Mori spoke about, that yes, Neve Shamir, we don't know every single person that's going to be there because we only market about half of the apartments, and the government markets the other half. But I wanted to just point out that the mayor of Beit Shemesh really helped to make some sort of difference between the ultra-Orthodox, the ultra-Haredi, and the Yeshivish Americans and the Tilomi, and she tried to move most of the more Haredi and the Hasidish people over to Ramat Dalet, because that's more of their kind of community. She built a very, very large community there. And Neve Shamir is really, the goal is to try to turn it into the next Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, maybe a little bit of a younger crowd, but that's the idea. And so far, I would say about half of Neve Shamir was sold already, if not more. And I know at least 100 families that moved there, and not one, I would want to be neighbors of all of those people. So as much as we don't know the other half, the half that we do know of are very, very, very good people. That I'll just start with. But I just wanted to say that our company deals with the whole process of buying a home in Israel from A to Z. We deal with finding the right property for you. Rafi, if you could put up the slides, that would be great.
Yes, You see that?
So these are just a few of our projects that we're marketing. Here, this is a project called Ofek Sheli, and the views here are actually real. It's pretty crazy, but they're actually real. And you could continue. The next slide. Here, this is another one. The area is much greener by now, but this is a second project that we're marketing in Neve Shamir. And you could go to the third one.
Those are the only two that I put up here.
Okay. So basically, there are more projects that we are marketing, but these are our main ones. And our idea of our company, and now you could go to the next one. Our idea of our company is that we take you through the whole process. We help you find the exact property that you would like. We help you with the mortgage part. We help you with the banks. We help you with the lawyers. We help you with every single aspect of the purchase. And our idea is to make it as smooth as possible. We have clients that literally they come, we make a WhatsApp chat, we find them the exact property for them, and we literally just send them updates. They don't need to worry about anything, and we literally take care of everything from A to Z. And it's something that is very, very needed today, because a lot of people get stuck with this, they get stuck with the wrong apartment for them, with the wrong home for them. They get stuck with a bad lawyer. They get stuck with a bad mortgage broker. Then they can't be, and then something goes wrong with the banks, and then they can't pay on time, so they'll need to pay a penalty, and things could get very, very complicated. But with our help, I believe that we could really help any buyer that's looking to make aliyah, any investor that's looking to buy a property. And that's our idea. We have.
Yeah, I think as Lev mentioned, it's not finding the property is really the first step in the process. There's a lot of other aspects of the transaction, and especially if you're doing it from abroad, it's so important to have a team that you can go to, and that's why we do this on a national basis. But more specifically in Ramat Beit Shemesh, we partnered up with Lev and his organization, because they not only does Lev work here, but he lives here and he has the connections, he has the contacts, Rav Mori and other people. And so when you're thinking about it, and you're thinking about all the different elements of the transaction and the needs that you may have, Lev is almost like a one-stop shop. Not almost, he is a one-stop shop. You can go to him and he can say, well, here's an attorney, here's a mortgage banker, here's a
and
realtor.
I'll tell you a secret, Rafi.
Yeah.
It's not on my website, or it's not in any of our descriptions, but with almost every client that has made aliyah, we've helped with schools. We've helped with Kupat Chalim, which is the medical centers. We've helped with everything, because at the end of the day, we're here to help, and we want to try to give as much service as we can and try to make the landing in Israel as soft as possible. And that's why working with Rafi is incredible, because that is literally him. He literally does all of this for you.
Yeah, and I think that's what drives us. And so thank you, Lev. I appreciate it. I know that you're just touching upon apartments, and obviously there's a lot of details here that he will go into, based of course on your needs. And so this is where we encourage you, and I'll put up the contact information here for us. We really encourage you to reach out to us and let us know what you're looking for. You could tell Lev, I don't know what I'm looking for. This is my budget, and I'm not sure which neighborhood. I'm not sure, the size of the apartment, or he's going to guide you through it. And so
we could even work on the budget part.
That's true. We had I had a conversation earlier today with a mortgage banker, and he walked through the process with the woman and said, okay, based on your income and based on what you can afford, this is what you can get. And so, a lot of this is part of the planning. The Rav Mori spoke about it as well, that when you're thinking about making this important step, and it's a big step, you need to plan. You need to know what your budget is. You need to know what your list of preferences are. And so, we can help you if you don't have that all lined up yet. We can definitely have a conversation with you and help you kind of connect the dots and put together a plan. And that's when Lev will go into more details, show you the floor plans of the projects. He has all this information, so he can go through the floor plans and talk to you about the schools and talk to you about the neighborhood. The purpose of this webinar really is just to introduce you to the neighborhoods, to the three of us, so that we can help you. And so if there are any other questions, at this point, please feel free to put them in the chat window, and we can we can discuss them at this point. Or if you prefer to have a one-on-one conversation, then you can reach out to us offline, and we'd be happy to talk to you.
In any case, I just wanted to tell you guys that we have all kinds of apartments, we have all kinds of homes. We just spoke about a few of our projects, but we also deal with secondhand if that will be necessary. And we will find you your right place. As much as really the market is really tough in terms of there are not a lot of secondhand homes available, and also new projects, there are not everything is available, but we will do every effort that we can to try to find the perfect place for you. We have right now in the project specifically, we have 3 rooms with an option for a 4th room. We have 4-room apartments. We have 4-room, 3. I'm sorry, I really should explain how it works in Israel, Rafi. The way that works in Israel is when you say 3 rooms, it's 2 bedrooms. It's 2 bedrooms and a living room. That's how it works. And then 3 bedrooms is 4 rooms. And that's how it goes on. But so I'll just speak in American a little bit. So we have 2 rooms with an option, 2 bedrooms with an option. For a 3rd bedroom, we have 3 bedrooms, and then we have 4 bedrooms. We even have 5 bedrooms. We have penthouses. We have garden apartments. We have everything you would like in the projects. And then we also have 2 multifamily homes. We have cottages. We have private homes that were built privately by different people. We even have land that you could build your own home on. And we literally have every kind of option. And like Rafi said, we also have for older people, we have in Harmony, and there are new projects coming up for that too. And we literally will try to find the perfect place for you. And with the reason that I did not bring here some more plans and some more things is because I'm sure that every single person here has their own thing, what they're looking for. And I would love to open that up and speak to every person privately on a Zoom meeting with Rafi or whatever it would be, and try to help you find your property here.
And one last thing I just want to add, and this is something that takes a lot of people by surprise, is how quickly apartments move here. And again, this is not to put any pressure on anybody. If you're not ready to buy a home for the next few years, that's fine. But once you decide that you want to move, you want to buy a home, you need to move quickly, because especially in places like Ramat Beit Shemesh, things don't stay on the market long. As Lev mentioned, Neve Shamir is already 50% or more sold, and that's going to move pretty quickly. And so I just want to, let you know and encourage you, if you are thinking about it, then you need to move, because it's a chaval, it's a shame if you, take your time. And again, it's an orderly process. So we're not telling you to, to decide today and then pay for the apartment tomorrow. It's not like that, but there are steps that you can go through this process, especially if you're buying on paper, which is something that's a concept that is more common in Israel than outside. You can put that on deposit, and then you can make the next payment, months down the road or even years down the road. And so it just, if there is something that you like, just keep that in mind, that you do need to move pretty quickly, because things do get snapped up. And it just that's the nature of the market in Israel, in large, again, depending on where you are, but especially in Ramat Beit Shemesh, because of the demand, things do move pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, I'm just scanning through the questions here. I don't think here there's a question here for you, Lev, about IL360. Do you help with purchases or rentals as well?
We also help with rentals. our main focus is on purchases, but we have a rentals agent that does a great job. And I'll tell you the reason that our main focus is on purchases is very simple, because the rental market is very, very small. So what we will do is help you find your place. But the idea is that you really should, if you're looking to move to Israel, you really should purchase something. That means also, if you'll purchase an apartment that you won't necessarily live in, it's worth it to buy it, also because the prices are going up, but also because you should have something, because what's going on in the market today is crazy, and that's why we are here to help, because the rentals are crazy, and the secondhand apartments are crazy. The prices keep on going up and changing, and it is really a complicated market, and that's why it's really important to have the right guidance. That's yeah.
Lev, if you have a couple of minutes, just to talk about the process of buying on paper, just the main things, because I know when we get a lot of
100%.
questions of that, and people are a bit concerned, and rightly so. So maybe if you can just talk a little bit about like the bank guarantees and the process, just
100%.
without going into too much detail, but I think just to enlighten everybody, people will find it helpful.
Okay, so the process of buying on paper seems a little scary, but at the end of the day, there are a few things that protect you. Number one is that your money is guaranteed by bank guarantee. That means that from the first dollar that you put down, or in Israel, it's going to be a shekel that you put down, all that money is guaranteed by the bank, that you'll get it back if something goes wrong with a builder, if the builder goes bankrupt, etc. That's number one. Number two, a lot of people are concerned about if the builder could say that the apartment will be ready in, let's say, 2 years, and we've seen projects, people come and tell me, oh, we've seen projects that was not ready on time. So there is something there's a law that protects you there too. And that law is that if it's not ready in time, you will get 1.5 times your average rent in that area after 2 months that the builder will be late. That means 2 months after the date that you signed on the contract that the builder was supposed to give you your apartment, he'll start paying you 1.5 times the rent. So those are the two main concerns that people usually come to me with. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole process. So the way that the process works is that salespeople would come and will show you, basically someone like me would come and show you different options according to your budget, according to what you're looking for. And once you find the option that's best suited for you, you go and you sign something that's called a Tofes Harshama. That means that you sign up to buy an apartment in that project. Now you sign up for that apartment and you have 2 weeks. Sometimes we could give you some more time to sign a contract from then. 2 weeks should be more than enough for lawyers to go through the contract, to give back, to have some sort of talk with the other lawyer of the company, and to agree on certain things and disagree on certain things. And that way you could sign your contract comfortably. And when you sign up for this project, you need to give a small deposit. The deposit ranges anywhere between $2,500, maybe $3,000, to about probably about $6,000. That's the deposit that you put down. Now, in different cases, if you decide that you're not going to take the apartment at the end, and it's not because of the builder, then you probably would not get the deposit back. But because we're here, we could probably try to do our best to get it back, but it's not a large amount of money. Mm-hmm. That's the first step. Then the second step is that you go, and if you're in America, if you're abroad, then you could have your lawyer sign your contract for you. You could have your someone that you could have a family member sign a contract for you. We will deal with the whole power of attorney. We will deal with all that whole process, opening up a bank account for you in Israel. We will deal with that whole thing. and then you need to start, you make a payment plan with the builder. Now, with a lot of the projects, you'll get payment plans like 20% down, and then 10% a little bit later, and then 70% at the end, or 25% down, and then 75% close to when you're supposed to get the apartment. Now, those are different payment plans, but there are also people that give 10% every 6 months. But according to your payment plan, we will deal with making sure that the money gets transferred to the builder on time, and etc. Now, once that process is over, your payment plan is over, and you get the key to the apartment, then there is a process that you need to go through, which is, at the end of the day, when you get a brand new apartment or when you build a house, you will want a touch up here. The paint here is not good. The tile here is a little crooked or something like that. So there's a process to go through that too. And that process is the builder, every builder has basically like some sort of handyman, but he's a little bit more than a handyman, with a couple of construction workers that come to the building usually twice, 3 times a week. And within maximum of a month to 2 months, you should have all your little problems fixed. The big problems you probably would not have in 90% of the cases, but that we're here to escort you through that whole process from A to Z. Now, if you're from abroad and you're planning on just buying something for an investment, and you're looking to rent it out, or you're looking to resell it eventually, so we're here for that too. We have what is it called? We have property management. We have a team for property management, and we're here to manage your property, to find the proper renters that will pay rent on time, that will sign a good contract, that will deposit checks in advance, and then once they're out, for us to fix up whatever needs to be fixed up, etc. Or if there's anything wrong with the apartment while they're there, we will be there. And that's why for investors, it's a very, very comfortable investment when they do it through us, because we literally deal with the whole process from A to Z. Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much for all that. I think we've covered all the questions. So thank you to all of you who have joined us tonight. We want to again invite you to reach out to us. We're going to send out the recording within the next couple of days. We'll probably also just touch base with you and see if if we can help you in any way. So thank you so much. Have a Shavua Tov. Have a good week. Stay safe. Stay healthy. That's the most important thing. And just look out for additional webinars we're going to be doing. We're doing different projects in different cities. And so just go to our Facebook page, the Olim Advisors, or contact us, and we'll be happy to keep you updated. So take care, everyone. Kol tov, be well, and we'll be in touch with you soon. Take care.